Morning. Need a little salt sprinkle. All right, well, that's what I'm here to do. I'm actually here to just try and get myself in the mode of streaming. Because today is one of those days where I would have just like, I'm just in a bad mood, man. I feel like today is one of those days where I'm really gonna have to like force a performance. I'm not jovial. I'm not feeling happy or like jokey or whimsical. I'm just in a bad mood. It's one of those things that, like, when it lines up with a big performance day like today, we're going to be probably doing like at least 3 hours, if not 4 hours of streaming today. And I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it, man. PewDiePie? Well, I don't always have a reason for a bad mood. It started yesterday, honestly. Like, I was just in a horrible, like, dark mood yesterday where I don't know, man. I just felt annoyed, on the verge of being angry all day, and I have no idea like why. I wasn't mad at anybody or anything in particular. It's just part of my fucking mental makeup, man. I'm sure if I really like tried to delve into it, I might be able to come up with a reason or two why I might be salty. But my just the way my mental state is it's hard to tell. But yeah, I've just been sour, grouchy. No, you're not into internet blood sports thing. You should really look up the Ethan Ralph versus Medicare stream. Who versus who? Medicare, I think I remember, but I thought he was dead. And Ethan Ralph, wasn't he like one of Andy Worski's buddies or something? He used to come on Andy Worski's show. I can't even fucking, like, honestly. I gotta care, you know. If I'm gonna watch some drama or participate in it or comment on it, I really gotta care about the people involved in some way, even negatively. I just don't care. I don't remember these people. That'll be better for like a desktop stream because we can like go and find some of these and like trace the etymology of it. I don't know the whole lineage of the Who Let the Dogs Out song, but yeah. That'd be a fun thing to do maybe one of these days. Maybe on a patron's Highdeology or some shit. I don't fucking know. I gotta be honest with you, I just feel like fucking like, this is Paul's ego signing off, and I just disappear. Go work in a factory and change my name to Gustavo Balderas. Everybody will be like, what fucking happened to Paul? It's like, I don't know, man. I bumped into this dude named Gustavo Balderas that kind of looked like him, but clearly not Paul. I often fantasize about wandering off into the woods abruptly one day and going feral. Oh yeah, dude. I think every dude, maybe every person, I don't know, I won't speak for the ladies, but I think that every man at some point in his life or another is just like, man, fuck this. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna go out into the woods. I'm gonna disappear. I think it's just like a lingering echo of our old existence. You know, you can take the monkey out of the forest, but you can't take the forest out of the monkey. You know what I mean? I think that probably most people have this kind of like maybe even subconscious desire to run from everybody. Why the whispery voice? I don't really feel like I'm whispering, but I don't know. I don't fucking know, bro. I just like sitting outside when I'm talking. I don't know. It feels nice to not be inside for a little bit. I spend a lot of my time working at my computer, streaming at my computer, play video games inside, I watch movies inside, and even though it's a pretty tiny little backyard, I can see a big patch of blue sky and a lot of birds, and I just like being amongst that shit. I feel calmer, especially on a day like this, man, where I know I'm gonna have to go sit in that chair for 4 hours and pretend to be happy, pretend to have fun with everybody. I'm not bitching about it, dude. I got a great job. It's just like, it's one of those days where you just feel drained of your ability to care what other people think about what you're doing. Your daughter got mad at the sun this morning because it's showing in her eyes. Sounds like she's on the right path. We're playing the return of pleb nuggets. No, it's not that. It's just, I don't know, man. I've been grouchy. Yeah, man. Like if I sound like I'm not like full voicing or whatever, it's because I live in a neighborhood and I don't want to like scream at the top of my lungs out here. You know. Just a random question, I guess. Anybody playing this Lost Ark shit? I've been playing a little bit of it. It's like a new MMO that is, I think it's more like a Diablo style than a typical third person or first person MMO. And I don't really give a shit. Like, one of the things about MMOs is I'm really hard pressed to care about the story because of the way it's delivered. I used to love the lore and story in older MMOs way better because it wasn't spoon fed to you by these stupid cutscenes and shit. Like, you had to like pay attention to the different areas and listen to some of the NPCs, and you know what I mean. You got this general idea of the power structure amongst the NPCs and the weird story going on, but it wasn't just like hammered into your head. Like, do you know what was a master of this? EverQuest. EverQuest was a game where it's just like, dude, two people could start the same class, different races, right? Same class. You're both clerics or whatever. One's a dwarf, one's a human. That dwarf and that human are going to have two completely separate paths through the game. They might overlap in certain areas. They might find themselves questing in the certain zones and stuff, but they're going to have access to all these different quests, all this different lore, and have like a story that feels like non-generic. You know what I mean? Like, I love games that don't go out of their way, especially MMOs that don't go out of their way to make you feel like you're the hero of the universe. And I feel like every MMO since EverQuest basically has done that. It's been like, oh, you're the only soul savior. And it's just like, man, what happened to you just being one of like thousands of people that are playing this game? You know, that was way cooler, way more immersive, way more interesting than this idea that like when I'm doing these quests, I'm the fucking hero of the day, but there's other people running around too. It's just, I don't know, it just feels kind of empty. But the gameplay is fun. Like the gameplay is very fun. It plays like a Diablo type game. So looks kind of nice. So I've been enjoying that, I guess. Or at the very least using that as an excuse to not to not interact with people. You have no idea what's going on, but you're still powerful as fuck like Joe Biden. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm not here asking you to do this again more often or whatever, but I love watching you play games when you do. I'm not really good at streaming games. I only read the lore of the Matrix MMO, never played it, but it sounded really interesting and innovative. The players shaped the progress of the story in a more tangible way. Well, there was a lot more of that back in the day. Like, once again, like just kind of throwing you into a world where you're not a superhero. In fact, you're no different than the average person. And you've got to develop your skills. And it gave a real sense of character progression and like ownership over your character. And left you with like a lot of memorable stuff because once again, it wasn't spoon fed to you. So it was more like you were experiencing it rather than being shown it. It's like, I swear to God, in this Lost Art game I'm playing, and it's a Korean MMO that's been localized for Western audiences. Apparently, it's just like the hugest game in Asia and Russia for a couple of years, and it finally released here. And I swear, man, I'm just doing the quest, trying to get through, the areas and stuff, and like every quest comes with a cutscene. Every quest is like centered around how like you're the only person that can save this or stop this or. And man, dude, it just feels boring and sparse and lonely. There's really no impetus for me to like interact with any of the other people I see running around at all. You know what I mean? I mean, this game is like fucking on rails, doesn't even begin to describe it. And I get it. It's like trying to funnel you through the, leveling process and shit. And like most MMOs nowadays, the game is not about the leveling process, it's about the end game, which I think is another big giant mistake that these games make. It's like, let's get the journey over so that you can reach the destination and then just stay at the same destination until you get burnt out. That's a terrible way to design a game, and it just seems like that's all they do now is make a game that funnels you through a bunch of like boring crap to get to level 50 or level 60 or whatever it is, and then you just kind of run the same dungeons over and over again. I feel like that's every game like that. And I just kind of miss games that were like more about giving you the basic lore and just like throwing you headfirst into it, and you're just an average Joe. You could be a merchant, you could be a blacksmith, you could be a swordsman, you could be a mage, you could be a combination of those things if you wanted. Did you play Death Stranding? Yeah, I did. That game, it just got to a point where like I couldn't play it anymore because like it really triggered my completionist kind of thing, but I really felt like I wasn't getting shit for it. Like I got to like the third area or whatever, the third big, story area. And my goal was to like try and 5-star all the little delivery hubs, which means you have to do tons of deliveries to them and stuff. And I really honestly don't know if there's any point to doing that. But I got to a point where I just felt like, man, I can't even really progress because I got to do a million runs back and forth across the map. I might, someday in the future, I might try and play that game again, but it just kind of lost me a little bit. Norman Reedus looks like he smells bad. I can almost guarantee he does, dude. You're absolutely right about that. He looks like a stinky guy. I bet he's a stinky guy. Number one thing they need to get rid of in MMOs is the map and fast travel. I think you should have like a really rudimentary map that shows you the whole continent and gives you a general idea of the location of things, but I could not agree more. I feel so dumb being led around by map icons, and that's really all these games are, if you think about it. Like, there are so many quests in this game that's literally just like walk across the courtyard 3 times and talk to 2 different people. Like, ultimately there might be more like lore going on or some actual thing going on, but functionally when you skip through it, that's what you're doing. You go talk to this guy, and then the quest marker moves to the other side of the plaza and you go talk to this guy, and then it moves back and you go talk to that guy, and then you get quest complete. It's like, what? And really it just, I don't know, you just feel so disconnected from the world. There's all this like design and detail that goes into making the world look a certain way, but you don't give a care about anything in it. It's not a landmark. It's like an area you're probably never going to come to again, unless it's to like do some late game like achievement hunting or something. It's like, yeah, let me get through this. Let me go to all the golden dots in here. Go to all the golden exclamation points in here. Finish all the quests until my next quest is moving me to the next little area. I've been through like 5 areas now. I was like, it just kills immersion. Like, it doesn't kill gameplay, it kills immersive gameplay. Like, there are some people, they just get in that grind mode where they're just like, it doesn't matter. But like, to me, I'm looking around all this stuff and I really want to care about it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to give a fuck about the next area. I want to care about the characters that I'm seeing recurring in the different areas and the storyline that I'm, skipping most of it. But every time I like take the time to sit and watch it, it's just boring and more like, you're the only person that can stop the evil demon from blah blah blah, and it's just so rote and rudimentary, and I just feel like, man, people just can't make these games anymore. What games don't insult your intelligence? Souls-like games, typically, I feel like. And it's not because they're hard, it's because the level design is interesting and it has a good way of rewarding uh, thoroughness and rewarding complete exploration. I'm not a huge fan of the lore of the actual Dark Souls games, but those types of games, I feel like, present a world that feels real and lived in consequence, and an environment of consequence. Because it's like, if I die in this game, the worst thing that happened, I'm instantly teleported back to the hub at full health with all my stuff, and I go right back, and I can die again, or I can finish off whatever I was beating on. Like, that's just like, it's not even a game anymore, man. Think about like Super Mario Brothers, right? And I know that's an old ass game, but you guys remember the first stage of Super Mario Brothers? You run into the stage, right? And then there's a Goomba there. And that Goomba has probably killed more people than any other enemy in any game in history. He's right underneath some blocks, and if you jump at the wrong angle, you end up landing in front of him or behind him and killing Mario, right? You don't stop him. Imagine if you got hit by that Goomba and Mario died, and then without even burning a life, he just like reappeared and you kept going. And there was really no functional way to die in the level. Like maybe the worst thing that happens is you get teleported back, 2 screens or something. Like think about that. Like how quickly would you have gotten bored with the idea of Super Mario Brothers if there was no consequences to fucking up? There's nothing on the line. If you fall down a pit, oh, he just appears on the platform next to it a second later. There's no lives. There's no, you know, it's just, that's how I feel like a lot of games are now. I feel like there's just, you know, this consequence free environment that's designed more to eat up your passive attention than to engage your active attention. Sucks. Boo. Boo. Well, that's another thing about the Souls games that makes it feel impactful and real and makes you like more invested in learning about things because there is something on the line, your progression, right? If you're making your way through an area very carefully, killing everything that you come across, conserving your Estus flasks, conserving your consumables, all of that stuff, and then you get to the end of it and there's a big guy and you look and you've got 14k souls. That's a couple of levels. That's progression in this game. And so do you go face the big guy or do you reset the whole area and go and spend those souls? It gives you an investment. And there's like a little bit of a, should I do this? Is this the way I should be going? Am I even in the right area? Is this too high level for me? Like letting you figure shit out. It gives a game so much more like character and it makes it more engaging to play. It makes me think about the game. Like this game, like I'm having like that one kind of fun, the brain off kind of like I mash button, big colorful explosion happen, enemy die. But could I tell you 10 fucking things about the world of this game? No. Could I tell you 10 things that I find interesting about the lore of this game? No. Can I tell you any quest where I looked at it and I was like, dude, should I do this? No. It's literally just a run around the map, collect all the exclamation points, run mindlessly around, collect the experience points, collect the gold, collect the gear, and then you're level 60 and you run the same dungeon, same dungeon, same dungeon, same dungeon. Yeah, you had to think about when to save in Resident Evil. It wasn't like a save point necessarily. It was like is this a place where I want to spend one of my ink ribbons to have a save? Or do I think I can push through to the next area? And I hate to say this, dude, but a lot of it, like with this game that I'm playing now, this Lost Art game, it's about its origins. It's a it's an Eastern game. And like look, I'm not saying that there are no Eastern games that don't live up to the idea of having like a real, but like they're just designed different, man. It's just like, oh my god, the worst, like lamest storyline, the worst voice acting, and the crappiest plastic Barbie doll looking character models. I mean, they look nice, they're high res and stuff, but they're just so animu. You know, it just drives me nuts that every character is a slender anime chick or a slender anime dude wearing a implausibly ridiculous set of armor with spiky hair. Spiky, you know, it's just like, how am I supposed to care or tell one of these from the other? When I go into a new area, there's literally no character to any of the NPCs that are handing out the quests. They very well may be the same two dorks that I got quests from in the last area and the one before that. There's just no telling any difference. They got different names. I'm Blarn. I'm Bjorn. I'm Flindrick. I'm Kendrick. I'm Joe. I'm Job. you know what I mean? But ultimately, they just look like the dude from the last area put a wig on. And the story, man, if you try and follow it, it's just like the evil demon Arxis has awakened from within the manifold. You are the only one that can stop it, brave traveler. And you're just like, oh my God, am I really supposed to listen to this? Like, is this really what people, why did they put it in the game? Are there really people going like, oh yes, the demon Arxis, and I am the planet's savior? Are there people getting off on that? Because man, dude, I feel it's worse than a kid's show. It's entertaining if you're 10 years old. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm just too old to play certain genres of games now. Although I think you could easily make a game like this that had a really nice, fun storyline, engaging characters, memorable moments and stuff. There's nothing memorable about this game. I'll tell you the one character that I remember in this game is this dork priest that for some reason, because I've been skipping so much of the story, I don't know. His name is Armin, and he's just like a total MacGuffin character. He just shows up and like cutscenes, and he's the dude that like blows the door down that you can't get through, or uses his magic to illuminate the dark area so you can walk through it. He's just like a story MacGuffin that shows up, and he's the only character that's even somewhat memorable, and that's just because I've like had to skip his cutscenes 90,000 times. And I don't know, dude. It's just like, man, how am I supposed to care about this? It just sucks. The gameplay is fun. The mechanics of the game are fun, but I just feel like it would have been better if they just put no story. Like, I would like this game more if it was just a one hub place, right? Where it's just like you got one city, like Diablo 1, right? All your little facilities are always the same, and then you go through warp gates or whatever and go to different dungeons and clear them, and then come back and collect your loot, and you have this one. I would enjoy this game 10 times more if it wasn't trying to pretend it's a bigger game than it is. Like, it wants to be this like, oh, look how expansive the world is, but really it's just an instanced off thing. The world is a bunch of different rooms, you know, and so it ain't working. And so I would rather they just let go of that and have a smaller group of main characters that at least you could get to know, rather than moving me like, I'm in the salt flats, I'm in the dry hills, I'm in the jungle of desperation, and really the only difference is like the background sprites. I'm doing the same crap in all of them. Oh man, I'm so glad I got out of the salt flats and into the jungle of desperation so I can do more delivery quests and kill quests. But this time with a jungle theme. Whatever, bro. See, that's the thing. The games that I'm talking about, though, where the story was important to me, didn't have cutscenes. There was no cutscene. Period. You had like an opening cutscene, like when you start up the game, there was like a little story cutscene or whatever, but like in the game, you never ran into a zone and like triggered a cutscene. Yeah, you're the world's most legendary soldier who spends 90% of their time delivering meat that you've carved off of animals or delivering a message from one place to another. It's like, what? What are all these people standing around doing? Don't you guys have menials to do this stuff? You can't send that dork that's sitting over there on a log whining over and over about the demon invasion. You can't send him to deliver the message across town. You got to send like, oh, you gotta find the most badass looking dude in town, the only guy that can fight a demon, and go like, hey, could you slip this message into the mailbox over there? Like, what? Huh? Hot take: Monster Hunter is very overrated. I mean, I'm not gonna fight with you about a video game. I don't really think it's that hot of a take. There are people that hate Monster Hunter. There are people that love it. I happen to be one of the people that loves it. I like fighting monsters. I like how streamlined it is, especially Rise. Man, they've taken out a lot of the lame, busy work out of Rise, and just kind of like streamline the process and put you in a position where like, yeah, it's boss fight, boss fight, boss fight, upgrade, boss fight, boss fight, boss fight. You know what I mean? And sometimes you feel sorry for the monsters. Yeah, you should. Yeah, and like this, it does have a little perfunctory storyline or whatever, but it's the 90% of the game is not running around doing fetch quests. 90% of the game is fighting big ass monsters with your different weapons and upgrading them. Yippee skippy. Oh my god, dude, I played New World as well. And man, you talk about a game that was just like capital A ass. And usually, like, I'm pretty forgiving of this type of thing because I understand that, like, taste is subjective. But, dude, that game was capital A ass. Horrible ass. Boring. Ugly. Like, I cranked up the graphics on New World and I was like, ugh. It's like ass. It's ugly. Boring. Combat system is like clunky and stupid. Everybody looks the same. It's got the same problems I've been describing in this other game. Move to this area, meet a bunch of NPCs you'll forget as soon as you leave. Deliver messages and, scalp wolf pelts for them until you can leave the area. And then you go to the mountains of Jahar, where you meet another cast of forgettable characters. And you'll do crazy new things like collecting ram's horns and delivering messages and packages of food to outposts. And then when you're done with that, you descend into the Valley of Shadows, where you'll meet another cast of forgettable characters and do brand new things like collecting spider egg sacs and destroying spider lairs and, it's just like, okay. Yeah. And that's sad. It's sad that, like, games are like that, where it's like you could just utterly skip what's going on in them and there's no thought given to it. It's like, you want to talk about a game where I felt cool going to a new area? Okay, this is an old ass game. You guys ever played Titan Quest? It's a Diablo clone from like the early 2000s. I think it came out like 2003 or 4 or something initially. Bro, you want to talk about a game that makes it feel super awesome to go from one biome to the next? That's the game. and they had a really great like thing. It was all about mythology. So it's the Greek world, the ancient Egyptian world, the Mayan world, and it's like every time you go to a different area, the whole aesthetic changes and the types of monsters change, and like you really feel like you've accomplished something. The ancient Chinese world, there's a whole like level that takes place on top of a fictionalized Great Wall of China that's winding around, and it just like I know, dude. Titan Quest is still alive. I still own it. I need to pop that thing in, man, and just play that game again because that game is just fucking good. And it's another game where like I couldn't really tell you what the story is. Not really. I kind of remember more about the Titan Quest story than I can remember about any of these other games I'm talking about. But it's still another game where the story is secondary. But man, the pacing is nice. It really makes you feel, you know, like you're progressing through it. Hail and well met, legendary hero. I heard that you are the one that slew the great demon Veilstraz. How did you accomplish such a feat? May I ask for a favor? Could you go fishing until you catch a shiny goldfish for me? You see, my wife, she has a very developed taste for them, and it has been many years since I was able to capture one. It's like, what? No! I'm not gonna go fish your dinner up for you. I'm the slayer of the demon Valstraz. Are you kidding me? Do you think I have time to go fish up a shiny goldfish for you? Do you realize there's another greater demon up on the top of the mountain over there? What do you think I'm up to? Why do you think I'm in town? What do you think I just slew the demon Veilstraz, but really what I'm into is like doing menial favors for people? What time is it? Somebody give me a central time check. Give me that CST. Give me that doot doot. Give me that beep beep. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go pretty soon here. I gotta end this. Because Onion Nuggets is about to start, y'all. Could it be? Are you the great traveler that we've heard word of? Did you liberate the entire continent of Cydonia? Would you mind terribly taking this pot of fish to the old lady across the street for me? What? Anyway, I gotta go. Have a good one, y'all. I'll see you on Onion Nuggets. Go over there now. Pleb and patron alike. And we'll see you there. Have a good day.